black supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to speak on the Kelis and Nas situation. And I want to talk about the unpopular side of domestic abuse, or we can call it domestic violence, or whatever you want to call it. Part of it that's rarely talked about. Now, Kelis has come out recently claiming that Nas battered her severely, that she was horrifically abused in her relationship with Nas, but she continued going on and trying to keep it together in spite of the abuse. These are allegations. I don't know if it's true. I've never seen any pictures or any evidence of it, but this is what she's saying. Now, this inspires me to talk about domestic violence and domestic abuse, which is something I rarely talk about. I don't know a lot about their situation, but I want to just talk about domestic violence in general. Two things come to mind from her coming out, talking about her domestic abuse situation with Nas. Now, this happened so many years back because we know they haven't been together for a while. What would make her come out now all of a sudden with this? Some people are going to say, well, she's coming out to heal and she's coming out to inspire other victims of domestic abuse. But then I got to ask, are these situations healable? Can they really forgive and really get past? Can they move on past it? Is that even possible? Because it's almost as though people cannot move on past these type of events that occur in their life as far as domestic abuse. Is what makes it impossible to move on is that all of a sudden they can become very relevant and gain a lot of attention at another point in their life. So they revisit and reawaken consciousness around a situation that has passed and that you would think they would have moved on from. Does this have something to do with the only state that we really accept the black woman in is as in being a victim? Is that the only attention that the black woman can get outside of being a sex figure? Is being a victim? It's like either you a sex superstar or a sex model or sex icon or victim. There's no gray area in the public. There's no alternative image for the black woman in the mainstream. This champion victim. I see it being really pushed. I see it with the Me Too movement. I see black women heading up the Million Women's March movement or whatever that is. It seems like a champion victim. But it's also at the price of attacking or exposing the black man, or putting a large emphasis on a particular dimension of the black man. And that dimension of where they're looked at as violent, as abusive, as impulsive, as reactionary. Like, this image is actually being pushed. Now, I know there was a lot of beauty in the relationship between Kelis and Nas, and they had a lot of beautiful moments, a lot of beautiful situations, and I'm sure Nas is a great man in various different ways. But the emphasis that is being pushed is that he's violent, he's domineering, he's aggressive, he's reactionary, he's impulsive, he lacks self-control. And that narrative is being pushed a little bit more. And that black women are gaining attention for supporting that propagandized image of the black man. They're getting celebrated for coming out, exposing that linear aspect of dealing with the black man. They're gaining new significance in being victims of the black man in ways that they would never admit that they were victims of white supremacy or victims of the white man in society as a whole. So that whole thing about, the police brutality and black men being shot down unarmed and unnecessary force being used and aggression between white police officers and black people, when people like Kelis come out, it seems justified. The black man's violent. He's dangerous. He's volatile. And the black women, they don't realize that they're contributing to that narrative. At a very interesting time, they want attention from playing victim when the black man is under attack and being projected and presented before the world in a way that justify how he's being dehumanized by the justice system in this country. Interesting. But it also makes me think of what's the other side of domestic abuse, because I know the feminists have really come hard on this, man hitting a woman, and black feminists on, the man shouldn't beat the woman, shouldn't hit the woman, and you got male feminists talking about the black woman is God and suggesting that the black woman can act with impunity, that there should be no disciplinary action towards the black woman dealing with physicalness. And we know that just doesn't go in other Arabic and Islamic countries, that the woman is disciplined physically. She's physically dealt with for her misbehavior. But in this country, within the family sector, the woman should be able to act with complete impunity. That a man ever putting his hands on a woman for any reason at any time is an ultimate no, is purely unacceptable, and no one can understand it. It's just obnoxious. It's insane to put your hands on a black woman as a man, or even put your hands on a woman as a man, period. But I'm just dealing with black people in this video. It's insane. And by no means, by me sharing with you this unpopular perspective on domestic violence, am I justifying or suggesting that you should put your hands on your woman and that men should beat women. I'm being objective about it. I don't want to interject within that opinion. I just want to expose the problem and the dilemma here. That the black man should never put his hands on a woman ever, no matter how irate she acts, how out of control, how much she misbehaves, how disrespectful she is, that a man should never put his hands on a woman. Is that logical? Is that reasonable? Are there no circumstances and no situations where a man should put his hands on a woman, where a black man should put his hands on a woman in a relationship? Are there zero situations? Now let me show you the faulty to that logic. For those who would say there are no situations, then that means there should be no situations where a white male officer or cop puts his hands on a woman. There should be no situation. But the cop wants to enforce his rules and his regulations with white supremacy, which is the laws of the land. He wants to enforce the law, the rules, the regulations of his house, the White House of this country, which is America. He wants to maintain the boundaries, and he's willing to put his hands on a black woman in order to maintain and put his foot down and put his rules down, that this is the law and I must enforce the law, so I must put my hands on you, like he did that black woman in the Waffle House. I must throw you down on the ground. I must enforce the law. And then even to the point of killing black women. Sandra Bland, and the list goes on. To enforce his law of his land, of his home. As he is the man. He is justified that the black woman could get so out of control and that he must regulate the laws of his land that he has to put his hands on the black woman, and it is justified because he must enforce the rules and laws of the land to maintain his infrastructure, to maintain his control over things. But when it comes to the black man in his own home, house, and land, that he's not justified to put his hands on his woman, that he can't put his woman in check. He can't control his woman. He can't enforce on his woman or use discipline on his woman. But he must let her go off on these rampages and act hysterical and obnoxious and disrespectful with complete disregard till she end up having the white man to put his hands on her. Where it's okay for the white man to put his hands on your woman. Because he's the real man, because you've been effeminized or emasculinized. So it's okay. He's the only man. He's the alpha male. So he can put his hands on your woman, the white officer, the white police. He can throw her around and you better not say nothing about it. I'll put my hands on you too. But if you check your household to keep her from ending up in the hands of the enemy, to have order in your home before it can get to the white man acting with the most blatant disregard and disrespect for black life, you don't have a right to check the woman in your household. You are powerless. You are impotent. If you at all raise your voice or attempt to bring your own household under control or under order, you are participating in domestic abuse or domestic violence. But if the white man do it, he's enforcing the laws and the rules and regulations of society. He can't have women out here acting like that. He got to put his hands on her. But you can have them acting like that in your house, on your land. And if you act out against her, you have every black man simp and every black effeminized, emasculated male feminist in your face talking about, now why you put your hands on that woman, bro? And then you have the police. And you got every single black man that don't even have a woman that walks around as a player, as a Mac daddy, as an eternal bachelor, gonna tell you not to put your hands on your woman, and he don't even have a household. He won't even put up with a black woman. But he knows, even though he doesn't have the discipline or the patience or the willingness to deal with the black woman, he know one thing for sure, that you better not put your hands on no woman. And then he's bagged by white supremacy that say, don't put your hands on her. You don't put your hands on no woman in your household to maintain the rules and regulation and foundation of your household as a man. You don't put your hands on a woman. But I slap the shit out of her. I throw these cuffs on her and drag her. I beat the fuck out of her. And you better stand and watch. And there's nothing you can do about it but get your bond money together. Huh? I can disrespect and beat your woman before the public, and if you got a problem with it, I'll beat your ass. But he's justified because she's acting out of control, and she should know when to shut up and not use profanity, and don't be drunk and lewd in public, and know when to speak when spoken to, and respect authority. That's how she's supposed to be with the white man. But when it comes to you and your household, she has a right to run over you, and you're supposed to sit back and sit on the side and play bitch made nigga. Because that's how the fucking game go. I'm not justifying domestic dispute or domestic violence or suggesting that you put your hands on a woman, but I'm showing you the contradictory nature of the black people, of black people living under white supremacy within this country. I'm showing you how we've been emasculated and effeminized in this society. And the problem of our household gets out of hand and ends up in the white man's hand. Because we are not allowed to rule our household, so we end up under the brutal rule of the white man. Because he don't give a damn about your woman. You telling your woman because you're trying to protect your woman. You're trying to keep your woman safe. You're trying to protect, be present, and provide. And you're trying to tell her, look, this is how it go. I'm just trying to tell you we can't do it like that, baby. And you're demonized. And if she can't find guidance and wisdom and instruction in her own household, then where's she gonna get it from? She gonna run out the door, and the white man gonna end up choking her out without no care and compassion, and put her in jail while she's pregnant, and chain her hands and arms up for her to have a baby with her arms and legs chained. Take your children and lock them up and treat them as adults, but tell you can't enforce the laws of your nation and family within your household. You have been disempowered. I just had to touch on that, man. Please don't take this as I am justifying domestic dispute or domestic violence. Because I'm not. I'm just showing you the contradictory nature of this system. And if you weak anywhere, you're going to be weak everywhere. If you weak in your own household, you're going to be able to protect the black woman. You're not going to be able to defend her against the enemy, against the devil, because you all around weak. And you accept the weakness as being righteous and being this and being at the right way to do things. And it makes sense. And it is senseless to allow your women to be drugged in the streets and you sit at home passively, not offering no instruction and guidance and maintaining the order within your household. It's King Noble Black Supremacy signing out.